Welcome to our podcast, Losing You, Gaining Yourself. This podcast is to help you go from knowing to doing so you can change you to the best version of yourself in your life and lifestyle. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Losing You, Gaining Yourself. Today, my guest is a very special person in my life, my sister, Myrisa Holcomb. How are you, Myrisa?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
I am glad to have you here, too. I understand you are about to celebrate a 5-year wedding anniversary.
Yeah, excited about that.
Well, we will start talking about the reason why we're here. You have done an incredible job accomplishing your personal mission for weight loss. I have been on a journey myself trying to lose weight for a number of years, gaining, losing, and I'm at that point where I'm ready to just get off that bandwagon and stay on a lifestyle change. You've made that lifestyle change, and I'd love to see if I can pick some secrets from you that can help me. So let's talk first about our childhood. Now, you are 9.5 years younger than me, so you had a bit of a different time frame of eating. Mom was working more, and so our diets were a lot different. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your eating experience growing up.
Well, growing up, it was pretty easy for me because my metabolism hadn't yet slowed down. I would just eat whatever my parents put in front of me, basically. And Mom always made sure that there was fruits and vegetables in the house, so that was helpful in maintaining my weight.
Well, that's good. And you like a lot of fruits and vegetables, unlike me, who grew up more with meat and potatoes, which because Mom was home and she made basically what Dad liked to eat. So yeah, I remember Mom used to poach you pears for breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind
I wasn't a big breakfast eater, so she made sure I had fresh fruit in the morning.
That's good. Now, as you got to be a teenager and kind of staking your own claim to what you wanted to eat versus what your parents put in front of you, how did your diet change, or did it change?
Oh, when I was a teenager, I don't want to say I starved myself, but yeah. Snacks I would have instead of lunch because the school lunches were gross. And then I would come home and have dinner.
Okay. So you were basically eating junk, little pieces, bits in here, and then you'd have one, good meal a day?
Right.
Yeah. And so how long was your diet like that?
About 4 years, just all of high school.
Okay.
Once I became an adult, that's basically when the problem started because I would just eat whatever fast food place was the closest. And that was okay for my weight for a while because my metabolism hadn't slowed down yet. So I could eat whatever I wanted.
Okay, so what kind of work were you doing at that time? And how was your schedule? And did you work out? How were your friends eating at that time that you hung with?
Yeah, I would work out. I'd gotten some gym memberships and worked out. My friends... most of my friends worked out too, so that was good. At least I had some muscle mass going on. But I still wasn't necessarily eating as good as I should unless I got a salad from McDonald's.
So your metabolism stopped working as well about when?
When I hit my late 20s, I started to gain weight. And then I wasn't working out as much either. So I just started to get kind of pudgy and soft around the middle and had to start shopping for bigger size clothes, which was a bummer.
Yeah. So you didn't necessarily go on diet. You just kind of embraced the thickness.
Right.
That's cool. A lot of people do that. I mean, because you didn't really get big enough where you would say, "Oh my goodness, I'm obese. I have to do something about this."
No, it was just I could tell for myself that I wasn't at a happy weight, and I was having to buy bigger clothes, so that was an indication for me too that the weight was getting away from me.
So where were you at your largest, and where were you at your smallest?
My smallest, I was probably 125, and at my largest, I was probably 240.
Okay, so that's in pounds. We're here in the States, so okay, so 125 pounds, up to 240. So this was a gradual transition that took about how many years?
I'd say about 10 years.
Okay.
Maybe between 10 and 15 years.
And at what point in this change did you start getting a little bit worried about maybe your appearance or your health, or just not being happy with where you were at weight-wise?
Well, after I got married, it was a real concern because that's when I picked up oh my gosh, that's when I picked up the heavy weight. Because I was around 170 in my 20s, but then after I got married, me and my husband, well, my husband's a big eater, so I just picked up his eating habits, and we'd eat whenever he ate, and I noticed myself getting bigger and bigger, and so that 170 got up to 240 pretty quickly. Okay. And then I was just at an uncomfortable weight. I was so big that my I have thin skin on my legs, but my skin wasn't growing as fast as my fat was. So it was just really uncomfortable, and everything felt really tight.
Okay.
It just wasn't a healthy weight.
And probably pulling at the flesh, like with getting stretch marks or whatnot.
Yeah, lots of stretch marks.
Yeah, that's understandable. So, now you say your husband's a big eater. Your husband's pretty tall. He's what, like 6'2", 6'3"?
Yeah.
And so, how did he feel about your changing in your size?
He loved it. He loves everything fat.
Okay.
He loves little pudgy dogs. He loves pudgy people. It's sweet. It's endearing that he likes the pudge, but
you weren't happy with it.
I was not happy with it at all.
Okay. Well, nothing wrong with a man that loves a thick, curvy woman. I'm sure there's plenty of thick, curvy women out there who would appreciate that. Okay, so you started getting uncomfortable. And what did you do at that point when you decided, okay, I'm going to change this?
Well, the deciding point was really when I didn't have many clothes left to fit into. Then I decided something's got to change, and I made the change in my life.
Okay. So did you study any particular diet? What kind of program did you decide for yourself to lose the weight?
Well, there's one thing about me. I was always reading in magazines and in books, even when I was a teenager, of how I should be eating. So I knew what to do. I knew how I should be eating, that there should be more fruits and vegetables in my diet, that dairy was not my friend. And just basically when I got to that point where I was going to change, I already knew what to do.
Okay. Well, and what were your steps? Which plan or program did you go with eating?
Basically, I changed diet-wise. I started eating more salads and more frozen frozen vegetable foods along with what I was eating. So I didn't really stop eating all the bad foods. I just added good foods to my diet.
Okay. Well, that's kind of good because a lot of people don't realize a lot of the good things we can put in our body will counter the bad things we're putting in our body. So that's really good because once you get all that more fiber in and so forth, you tend to, push out some of the bad stuff that's kind of lingering inside of your colon and whatnot. So that
I wasn't gonna put it that way, but
well, it is what it is. So yeah, that's definitely good. And did you do any like exercising? Pick that up?
Yeah, I did. I got a gym membership, and I actually went this time.
Awesome.
Because that was one of my bad habits, is paying all that money for a gym membership and just wasting it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that somewhere around the month of January, and then by February, they're not seen anymore. So yeah, well that's good. Now, did your husband join you in the diet change and exercising?
No, he still eats the same way. He's a big eater. He loves food, and because he's tall, it doesn't really look bad on him. He's got a little bit of a tummy, but other than that, he's a thin guy.
Yeah. Well, that's good, and it's good that when you made that decision, you stayed focused on what you wanted for your health and for what your happiness versus falling into the excuse of, well, my husband likes thicker women, so as long as he's happy, which a lot of women do, it's true. So that's very commendable on you, because it's kind of hard to do things by yourself when you're looking at that big of a task. So how long did it take you to lose the weight?
It took about a year to get the weight off. Slowly, it felt like forever to me.
Yeah.
But slowly but surely, I started getting the bad food out of my diet. Since I had started eating the good foods, I started to crave the good foods, this healthy salads and strawberries, fresh fruits, stuff like that became more of a want, more of a need, really, after I started eating the healthy foods.
Right.
And so it was easier to push the bad foods to the side.
Well, that's good too, because understandably, you hear so much with dieting. They tell you about, the first 3 days are the hardest, and then you get over that hump, and you're like, sometimes like, okay, this is still hard.
Yeah. It takes a long time to get used to eating good foods.
Yeah. Yeah, but then it gets to the point you say where you actually want to eat that way because you're feeling so much better. So that's excellent.
Right. I noticed, like, I used to get, this might be too private to talk about. I used to get like yeast infections.
Oh no, you're good.
Yeah, well, I used to get yeast infections when I was eating unhealthy foods all the time, and it affects your whole body when you get those, like your eyesight and the way foods taste and whatnot.
Okay.
But after I started with the fruits and vegetables, all that cleared up.
Excellent. Now, why did the yeast infections affect your tasting? How would a person know that that's what the situation was?
Because you have, when yeast infections get really bad, you get a coat of yeast on your tongue.
Okay. So you were able to see a visible change as well as sensory change on your tongue. That's quite interesting. So physically, food really does affect us a lot of different ways, and it's good to see that you were aware of what was going on with your body to know that that changes were taking place. You lost the weight. What led you to keeping it off? How did you manage to do that?
Well, really, I got to a weight that was a little bit too low because when I started dieting, the weight just started falling off. In fact, it got to the point where I was 114 pounds and I'm 5'7", so that was a little bit too much weight to have lost. At least that's what my doctor told me. So I had to start gaining weight, and so I got to introduce some fattier foods into my diet, which was fun. Until I got to the weight that I am now, 140. And I keep the weight off with portion control. Portion control is really important.
Yeah.
Now that I have introduced those fatty foods back into my diet.
So you're kind of now eating like more balanced, back to normal sort of eating, things that you want to eat.
Right. Things that I want to eat, but I haven't gone back to the fast foods. The fast foods is really high calorie, high fat foods, and you just can't do that to yourself.
Right. Well, that's awesome. So how long have you been smaller and kept off the weight and balanced things out for yourself?
So far, it's been a year that I've kept the weight off.
Excellent. So let's play a little game with food. Food association. I'm going to say, I'm going to throw out a particular food and then you tell me what you think about it. Okay. Let's start off with fun things that I particularly like. Let's say peanut butter.
Oh, peanut butter. Peanut butter's not our friend.
Really?
Peanut butter tastes delicious, and it's good for kids because they're growing, so it helps them to put on weight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good fast snack for them. And you know what? And peanut butter in moderation can be okay, but it makes you want to eat more, and it's a high fat food.
Yeah, and depending on the brand of peanut butter, it can be high sugar food too. So you got to watch those labels. And I say this because Myrisa has gotten me off of eating as much peanut butter as I used to because I love peanut butter so much. I could eat it 3 times a day. I'm just ridiculous with it. So,
and you could eat it off the spoon.
Yes, I can, and I have eaten it off the spoon many times. But yes, that is the past. Moving right along. Let's talk about bananas.
Bananas?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Bananas are very filling. But they can also be a damper on losing weight if you're not careful with them.
Okay. What about avocados?
Avocados are good. They're a good source of fat. They're a good source of the good fat.
Okay.
So you can eat more of that than.
What's your favorite way of eating an avocado?
I love guacamole.
Mm-hmm.
I also love grilled chicken breast with avocado and tomatoes.
Mm.
Most of the time when I eat an avocado, it's got a mix of tomatoes in it somehow. So I think it releases lycopenes is what they call it.
Okay.
And it's just something that's good for your body.
Excellent. So what about coffee?
Coffee is really good for you if you have 1 cup of plain coffee a day. But coffee gets, I don't know, I like to put lots of stuff in my coffee like sugar and cream and a shot of hazelnut or something in it. And that's when coffee gets fattening, when you start to add all that stuff. Because nowadays, most specialty coffee drinks are basically just desserts with caffeine in them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing but empty calories. So you're drinking your calories for the day when you could be eating your calories for the day.
Right. And one thing that I did notice with my diet change is that when I'm eating vegetables, putting more vegetables, especially raw vegetables into my diet, I'm getting more energy, and so I'm needing less caffeine. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. All right, well, that was a fun little game. Well, I'm so glad that you were able to come on the show, and
Me too. This was fun.
yeah. So yeah, we learned a lot today. Myrisa talked a nice deal about the way she lost weight. A lot of people choose to do dieting. There's so many ways, as you learned in our past podcasts. But her choice was really adding in good food, not necessarily taking out all the bad food, and then portion control to balancing it all out. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be something rushed. Myrisa was able to do it within 1 year, taking it slow, and then, doing what she needed to do to keep it off, working out. Myrisa's not your big sports buff kind of person. But, just a good 20, 30 minute keeping the movement going each day. And so these are small things that make huge results in your life and help you to make that lifestyle change and then sustain it for years. Well, it was wonderful talking with you all. I can't wait till next week when we have our next guest. And soon we are going to start another series, so do stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, keep smiling. Thank you for listening to Losing You, Gaining Yourself. You can expect an inspirational session every Monday right here on YouTube. To stay up to date with what's happening, follow me on Facebook at Losing You, Gaining Yourself, Instagram at Carlin_Newson. Get real-time updates on Twitter by following me there at Losing You, capital U, and Win. For more information, inspiration, visit and subscribe to my website at LosingYouGainingYourself at WordPress.com.